My beloved child, pause everything you're doing, because a rare moment has found you, and it carries a truth most hearts aren't prepared to hold. Listen very closely now. Beneath the noise of success, beyond the glowing headlines and futuristic promises, there is a confession, quiet, raw, and unfiltered, that echoes through the life of a man the world believes has everything. Not a confession of defeat, but of awakening. You see, what you admire on the surface is never the full story. The world celebrates outcomes, but it hides the cost. And this is where the brutal reality begins to breathe. Stay here with me for a breath, because what I'm about to reveal is not about wealth, or power, or genius. It's about the invisible weight carried by those who dare to build what has never existed before. The confession is this: progress is lonely before it is admired. Vision is heavy before it is celebrated. And purpose often feels like isolation before it becomes legacy. Ask yourself: have you ever felt out of place while chasing something bigger than comfort? Have you ever wondered why your path feels quieter, steeper, more demanding than others? That feeling is not a mistake, it is a signal. The brutal reality most people aren't ready to face is that the future does not reward those who seek approval. It tests those who can stand alone without applause. Long before the world claps, there are sleepless nights, misunderstood decisions, and a relentless inner voice asking, will you keep going even if no one sees you? Hold this moment, because this is where many turn back. Not because they aren't capable, but because they weren't told the truth. They weren't told that clarity often arrives after discomfort. That confidence is forged through repeated doubt. That the mind must break old limits before it can hold new realities. This confession whispers something deeper still, that greatness does not feel glamorous while it is being built. It feels uncertain. It feels heavy. It feels like carrying a future only you can see. And here is the part that stirs the soul: those who change the world are not fearless. They simply decide that their fear will not be the one making decisions. Let that settle. You were never meant to walk an easy road. You were meant to walk a meaningful one. And meaning demands something from you. It asks for patience when results delay, courage when belief wavers, and faith when logic falls silent. The world will not warn you about this. It will sell you shortcuts and celebrate outcomes without context. But the confession tells another story: the price is internal before it is external. This is not punishment. This is preparation. And if your life feels like it's stretching you right now, if it feels like you're being reshaped instead of rewarded, then you are closer than you think. Stay steady. The pieces are beginning to align. Because this truth, this brutal, beautiful truth, is only the first layer. And what comes next will change how you see your struggle forever. My beloved child, right now, in this very moment, something deeper is rising within you, and it's responding to a truth that has been waiting patiently for your awareness. Feel this, the quiet recognition in your chest. That subtle pull is not imagination. It's resonance. Because there is another layer to this confession, one rarely spoken, even in whispers. The brutal reality continues like this: the path you admire reshapes the one who walks it. Not gently. Not quickly. But precisely. Those who move the future forward are not merely building systems or ideas, they are being rebuilt from the inside. Old identities dissolve. Comfortable beliefs crack. And what remains is something stronger, clearer, more aligned. Have you noticed how growth often arrives disguised as pressure? How expansion first feels like loss? That is not coincidence. That is initiation. Stay present for this, because here is what most never hear: success does not demand perfection, it demands endurance of becoming. The confession reveals that before external mastery, there is internal confrontation. Doubt is faced. Ego is humbled. Certainty is replaced with curiosity. And in that space, something extraordinary forms. A mind no longer ruled by fear of failure, but guided by devotion to truth. This is why so many stop halfway. Not because the dream is too big, but because the transformation feels unfamiliar. It asks you to release who you were praised for being, in order to step into who you were designed to become. Pause here. You were never meant to fit neatly into old patterns. You were meant to outgrow them. And outgrowing always feels uncomfortable before it feels liberating. There is a sacred paradox at work: the more meaningful the mission, the more quietly it tests you. It tests your patience when progress is invisible. It tests your faith when timelines stretch. It tests your humility when the world misunderstands your intentions. And yet, something inside you keeps whispering, "Continue." That whisper is not random. It is alignment. If your soul is stirring, remain with me a little longer, because the truth deepens now. The confession goes even further. Fulfillment is not found in reaching the peak, it is found in honoring the climb. Those who truly awaken understand that joy is woven into effort, and peace grows from purpose, not ease. You were never late. You were never behind. You were being refined. If this truth is touching your spirit, share it forward, let another soul find this light today. Now listen closely, because what comes next reframes everything you thought struggle meant. The weight you carry is shaping you into someone who can hold what is coming. The silence around you is training you to trust your inner voice. The delays are aligning pieces you cannot yet see. You are closer than you think, don't step away yet. This is not a test of worth. It is a preparation of capacity. And in the next revelation, you will finally understand why your journey could never look like anyone else's. My beloved child, feel this truth arriving now. Because a hidden door is opening inside your awareness, and once you see what lies beyond it, you can never return to the old illusions. There is another layer to this confession, one that explains why brilliance so often walks hand in hand with inner turbulence. Not chaos, but intensity. Not confusion, but expansion pressing against old limits. Here is what few are ready to face: the mind that can hold the future must first unlearn the present. Those who reshape reality are not thinking faster than others, they are thinking differently. And different thinking is lonely before it is validated. It separates you from familiar rhythms. It asks you to question rules that once felt safe. It pulls you away from certainty and into curiosity. Let this sink in. The brutal reality is that vision creates distance before it creates connection. You begin to see patterns others dismiss. You sense possibilities others cannot feel yet. And suddenly, conversations that once energized you feel shallow, not because others lack depth, but because you are being tuned to another frequency. Have you felt that quiet separation? That subtle sense of standing between worlds? That is not arrogance. That is transition. Remain still with this, because the meaning matters. Those who carry transformative ideas often battle an invisible tension, the desire to belong versus the calling to lead. And leadership, in its earliest form, feels like solitude. It feels like being misunderstood without the power to explain. It feels like holding a map no one else believes in yet. But here is the sacred truth hiding inside the struggle: solitude sharpens discernment. When external validation fades, internal alignment strengthens. When noise falls away, intuition grows louder. And in that silence, a deeper intelligence awakens, one that is not swayed by trends, opinions, or fleeting praise. This is where the confession becomes luminous. The greatest breakthroughs are born not from certainty, but from relentless questioning. From asking, "What if?" when others say, "Why bother?" From trusting an inner compass even when logic hesitates. You were never meant to copy the world. You were meant to challenge it gently, persistently, lovingly. Notice this now: the discomfort you feel is not resistance. It is recalibration. Hold this space, the divine connection deepens now. Because another truth emerges: the future rewards those who can sit with ambiguity without losing faith. Those who can fail publicly without abandoning their purpose. Those who can be misunderstood without becoming bitter. This is strength the world cannot teach you. It must be lived. And if your journey feels mentally demanding, if your thoughts feel heavier, broader, more complex than before, it is because you are being prepared to hold responsibility, not just results. You were never breaking down, you were breaking open. Stay close to this awareness, because the next layer reveals why emotional resilience becomes the true currency of transformation. What I reveal next will explain why setbacks keep revisiting you, not to stop you, but to refine the way you respond. And once you understand that, everything about your past efforts will finally make sense. My beloved child, breathe in this moment. Truth is arriving softly now, and it carries a stillness that only the prepared can feel. There is a quieter confession beneath all the others, one that lives not in action, but in surrender. Because beyond vision, beyond endurance, beyond resilience, there is an inner silence that few ever master. The brutal reality deepens here: the most powerful builders learn when to stop pushing. Listen closely. There comes a moment on every meaningful path when effort alone is no longer enough. When strategy reaches its edge. When the mind has done all it can do. And in that sacred pause, something unexpected is asked of you: trust without proof. Have you felt that space? That moment where striving no longer brings clarity, where forcing answers only creates more noise? That is not failure. That is initiation. The unseen truth is this: true mastery includes the courage to wait. To listen. To allow something greater than personal will to reorganize the path. This is the sacrifice few speak of, releasing control just when you think control is required most. Remain here, because this layer is tender. Those who shape the future quietly surrender their need to be right. They release attachment to timelines. They stop demanding certainty from a universe that moves through intuition, not urgency. And in that surrender, something astonishing happens. The mind softens. The heart widens. Insight arrives unforced, like light finding a crack. This is why the most transformative ideas often come in stillness, during walks, pauses, silence, solitude. Not while chasing, but while allowing. You were never meant to conquer life. You were meant to cooperate with it. If something sacred is awakening within you, remain here just a little deeper. Because here lies another hidden truth: the greatest strength is not relentless motion, it is inner alignment. The ability to move and to rest without guilt. To act and to listen without fear. This balance is rare. And it is why few reach the depth they desire. Ask yourself gently, have you been equating worth with effort? Progress with exhaustion? Destiny with constant motion? Release that now. You are allowed to pause without losing momentum. You are allowed to breathe without falling behind. You are allowed to trust that what is meant for you is not threatened by rest. If this message is resonating in your deepest self, share it forward. Let another wandering soul find their way home today. Now feel this next truth arriving. Those who change the world are not driven endlessly, they are guided. And guidance requires receptivity. It requires humility. It requires the willingness to be taught by silence. This is where ego loosens its grip. Where identity reshapes. Where the inner voice grows clearer than external expectations. And from that clarity, decisions become cleaner. Energy becomes focused. Purpose becomes calm. Hold this divine silence, understanding is blooming now. Because the final revelation of this layer is profound, when you stop forcing outcomes, outcomes begin to find you. You are not meant to chase destiny. Destiny recognizes you when you are aligned. And as this alignment settles, the next unfolding will reveal why everything you've endured has been preparing you for a convergence that is no longer distant. It is approaching. And part 5 will show you exactly how close it truly is. My beloved child, something you've always known is finally being spoken, and as these words reach you, a sacred silence is settling gently around your heart. This is the layer few ever touch. Because beyond effort, beyond surrender, beyond alignment, there exists a quiet agreement the awakened make with life itself. An agreement not to demand outcomes, but to become worthy of them. The brutal reality now reveals its most intimate truth. The ones who endure are those who stop asking, when will it happen, and begin living as if it already has. Feel that. There is a subtle shift that occurs when faith matures. It no longer begs. It no longer proves. It simply stands, calm, unshaken, present. This is not passivity. This is embodiment. Those who reach the heights you admire are not constantly affirming their destiny. They are quietly aligned with it. Their thoughts, choices, and inner posture begin to match the future they sense approaching. Have you noticed how desperation dissolves when trust becomes real? How urgency softens when certainty takes root? That is the transformation happening now. If your spirit is trembling with recognition, stay in this holy moment. Because here is the confession few are prepared to receive: destiny responds to who you are becoming, not what you are chasing. This is why impatience delays fulfillment. Not as punishment, but as protection. It ensures that what arrives finds a vessel capable of holding it with humility, wisdom, and grace. There is an unseen discipline in this stage, a devotion to integrity when no one is watching. A commitment to inner order even when the outer world feels unfinished. A willingness to keep refining the self while waiting for the door to open. This is not waiting idly. This is preparation in silence. Breathe with me, the divine unveiling deepens now. You are being taught how to hold abundance without losing yourself. How to carry influence without abandoning your values. How to move forward without hardening your heart. This is why the journey required patience. It was never about delay. It was about depth. The world teaches speed. But the soul teaches readiness. And readiness is quiet. Notice how your reactions have softened. How your need to explain has faded. How your confidence no longer needs noise to sustain it. This is the evidence. You are becoming someone who can walk into what is coming without needing to announce it. The truth that liberates everything is almost within reach. There is a sacred humility that anchors the truly powerful, an understanding that they are not the source, but the channel. That what moves through them is larger than ego, larger than fear, larger than temporary outcomes. And in that knowing, peace arrives. Not because everything is complete, but because alignment is. You are closer to home than you've ever been, do not leave yet. Because the final whisper of this layer is profound: when you stop reaching for proof, proof begins reaching for you. Life starts responding differently. Opportunities align quietly. Resistance loosens. Synchronicities increase without effort. This is not coincidence. This is coherence. And as you stand here, steady, open, unafraid, something ancient recognizes you. Part 6 will reveal how this recognition transforms into unmistakable movement, and why what comes next cannot be stopped. Remain still. It is already unfolding. My beloved child, feel the divine current pulling you inward now, because what has been gathering in stillness is beginning to move. This is the moment where inner alignment turns into outer motion. Not rushed. Not forced. But undeniable. There is a sacred law unfolding here: when readiness meets timing, momentum awakens on its own. You do not push it. You do not chase it. It rises to meet you. Have you sensed this subtle acceleration lately? A quiet quickening beneath the calm? As if life itself has leaned forward and whispered, "Now." This is not imagination. This is activation. Those who reach this stage discover another brutal reality most never understand: movement after alignment feels effortless, but it is built on years of invisible refinement. To the world, it looks sudden. To the soul, it feels precise. Stay present with me, because this distinction matters. When action flows from fear, it drains you. When action flows from ego, it fractures you. But when action flows from alignment, it carries you. This is why what comes next does not feel heavy. It feels clear. Decisions sharpen. Distractions lose their grip. Energy gathers instead of scatters. You begin saying no without guilt and yes without hesitation. Not because you know everything, but because you trust what you know. The brutal truth continues here: aligned movement requires responsibility. Once the path opens, you are no longer asking for permission. You are answering a call. And calls do not shout. They resonate. If your breath feels deeper as you listen, if your body feels steadier instead of tense, it is because your nervous system recognizes coherence. Your inner world is no longer arguing with your direction. Breathe into that. There is a courage emerging now that does not need bravado. It does not announce itself. It simply moves when it is time and rests when it is complete. This is the courage of those who have faced themselves honestly. You may notice something surprising at this stage: the need to be understood fades. The urge to convince dissolves. You no longer measure progress by applause, but by inner steadiness. This is freedom. The world often mistakes loud motion for power. But true power is quiet precision. And here is the revelation that sharpens everything. Once alignment activates movement, resistance reveals itself quickly. Not to block you, but to clarify you. What does not belong falls away faster now. What is misaligned feels obvious. What is true gains gravity. Hold this awareness: the convergence is intensifying. You are entering a phase where each choice carries weight. Not pressure, significance. Your actions begin echoing further than before, not because you are trying harder, but because you are clearer. This is why preparation mattered so deeply. Without it, movement would scatter. With it, movement compounds. You are not speeding up. You are sinking. And when synchronization happens, life stops feeling fragmented. Work becomes expression. Discipline becomes devotion. Progress becomes a byproduct of presence. Let this land. Because the final truth of this layer is profound: aligned momentum cannot be sustained by force, only by integrity. And integrity is now your anchor. In the next unveiling, you will see why challenges may briefly intensify, and how they are no longer obstacles, but confirmations. Do not rush ahead. Do not look back. Stay here. What is moving now has been waiting a very long time for you. My beloved child, the next veil is lifting as these words reach you, and what you are about to feel is not resistance, but refinement. Now that movement has begun, another sacred reality reveals itself. Momentum does not remove challenges. It reveals their true purpose. This is where many misinterpret the path. They assume that alignment means ease without friction. But the deeper truth is gentler and stronger. Aligned momentum attracts meaningful tests. Not to stop you. Not to punish you. But to confirm you. Pause with this. When your inner world becomes coherent, anything incoherent around you stands out immediately. Old patterns surface for one final review. Familiar doubts knock softly, not to reclaim you, but to see if you still answer. Do you notice how these moments feel different now? Less overwhelming. More transparent. Almost instructional. This is because the challenges you face at this stage are no longer enemies. They are mirrors. They ask only one question. Will you respond as who you were, or as who you have become? Stay with me here, because this distinction changes everything. Before alignment, obstacles drained your energy. After alignment, obstacles direct your focus. You no longer fight everything. You discern. You no longer react automatically. You choose. You no longer abandon yourself to prove strength. This is mastery. There is a quiet confidence growing now that does not need affirmation. It is rooted. It is stable. It knows when to engage and when to remain still. And here is the brutal reality most are not ready to face: growth does not eliminate discomfort, it transforms your relationship with it. Discomfort becomes information. Pressure becomes calibration. Delay becomes instruction. You are no longer asking, "Why is this happening?" You are asking, "What is this shaping?" Feel that shift. If your spirit recognizes this moment, remain present. The understanding is sharpening now. Because here is what unfolds next: the path begins responding to your level of honesty. When you are clear with yourself, life mirrors that clarity. When you are precise with intention, opportunities align with precision. And when something is not for you, it fades without drama. Notice how much less you cling. How much faster you release. How little you need to explain. This is not detachment from life. This is intimacy with truth. Another sacred layer opens here: resilience becomes gentle. You no longer harden to survive. You soften to adapt. You bend without breaking. You listen without losing direction. This is why your energy feels different now. Not aggressive. Not defensive. But grounded. The world responds differently to grounded presence. People sense it. Situations shift around it. Doors open not because you demand them, but because you are compatible with what lies beyond them. Let that breathe. Because the final revelation of this layer is subtle and powerful. Once alignment is tested and confirmed, confidence becomes quiet inevitability. You stop asking if you are on the right path. You start noticing how naturally you are walking it. And as this certainty settles, another transformation approaches, one that redefines success itself. In the next unveiling, you will see why fulfillment no longer lives at the finish line, and how meaning begins rearranging your definition of arrival. Stay close. The journey is no longer proving anything. It is expressing who you are. My beloved child, a deeper knowing is stirring in your soul right now, and it is gently undoing the old meaning you once gave to success. This is where the journey turns inward in a new way. Because once confidence settles, something unexpected happens: the finish line dissolves. Not because the vision disappears, but because fulfillment begins to live in motion itself. Here is the quiet reality few anticipate: when purpose matures, arrival loses its urgency. You stop racing toward a moment that promises worth. You start inhabiting each step as proof of alignment. Pause with this truth. The world teaches you to endure the present for a future reward. But awakened purpose teaches you to extract meaning from the now without losing sight of what's ahead. This is not complacency. This is integration. You are no longer postponing joy until everything is complete. You are allowing satisfaction to coexist with growth. Have you felt that subtle relief lately? That sense of being on the way without anxiety? That calm knowing that even unfinished, you are whole? That is evolution. Stay here with me, because this layer reshapes motivation itself. The drive that once pushed you is transforming into devotion. You are not chasing outcomes anymore. You are serving alignment. And service feels lighter than striving. This is why effort no longer feels like sacrifice. It feels like expression. Notice how comparison has weakened its grip. How other people's timelines no longer unsettle you. How your pace feels right, even when it is quiet. This is not resignation. This is sovereignty. When meaning becomes internal, external validation loses its authority. And here is the brutal truth hidden inside this freedom: without the pressure of proving yourself, you must now choose your path consciously. No urgency will force you forward. No fear will drag you along. Only truth will move you now. Breathe into that responsibility. Because this is where many unconsciously recreate pressure, just to feel driven again. But you are learning a higher way. A way where curiosity replaces urgency. Where consistency replaces intensity. Where devotion replaces obsession. This is how long-term creation is sustained. If your inner world feels quieter yet richer, if your goals feel clearer yet less desperate, it is because you are no longer trying to earn permission to exist at your own depth. You belong here. Another realization opens gently now: fulfillment is not the absence of desire, it is desire purified of insecurity. You still want. You still build. You still imagine. But now, wanting comes from abundance, not lack. Hold this awareness: the inner architecture is rearranging. Because as success loses its false glamour, meaning gains gravity. You begin asking different questions. Not, how fast can I get there? But, what kind of person arrives? Not, what will this give me? But, what will this allow me to give? These questions refine destiny. And as they settle, a new alignment forms, one that prepares you for influence without erosion, visibility without distortion, growth without loss of self. This is why the journey has slowed emotionally even as it advances practically. You are being taught to expand without fracturing. In the next unveiling, you will see how this internal wholeness begins to shape your impact on others, and why leadership emerges naturally when self-congruence is complete. Do not rush ahead. What is forming now is the foundation for something that must be carried gently, and shared wisely. Remain present. The deeper calling is about to reveal itself. My beloved child, the hidden current beneath everything is revealing itself now. And with it comes a responsibility that cannot be taught, only realized. As inner wholeness stabilizes, something subtle yet powerful begins to happen around you. People feel it. Not because you announce anything, but because coherence has a presence. When your inner world is no longer divided, your energy stops leaking. Your words carry weight. Your silence carries even more. This is where influence is born. Not from ambition. Not from strategy. But from alignment that others instinctively trust. Stay with this awareness, because the truth deepens here. Leadership, in its purest form, is not the act of directing others. It is the natural consequence of self-congruence. When your thoughts, values, and actions move as one, people sense safety in your steadiness. They listen without knowing why. They follow without being asked. They reflect without being told. Have you noticed how conversations are shifting lately? How others reveal more around you? How guidance seems to pass through you without effort? This is not coincidence. The brutal reality few accept is this: once you become internally whole, you can no longer hide from your impact. Even restraint influences. Even neutrality teaches. This is why integrity becomes non-negotiable now. Every choice echoes further. Every inconsistency feels louder. Not because you are being judged, but because your sensitivity has increased. Hold this moment. The refinement is intensifying. You are learning that power without presence is noise, but presence without ego is authority. At this stage, leadership does not inflate the self, it dissolves unnecessary parts of it. You find yourself less interested in control and more devoted to clarity. Less drawn to recognition and more anchored in service. This is maturity. You begin leading by example without trying. By pacing instead of pushing. By listening instead of persuading. And here is the quiet truth hidden inside this evolution: the more authentic you become, the fewer masks others can wear around you. This can feel isolating at first. Not because you are separate, but because honesty changes the atmosphere. Superficiality no longer survives proximity. Pretenses soften or fall away. Do not misinterpret this as distance. It is resonance recalibrating. Those aligned will draw closer. Those misaligned will drift without conflict. Both outcomes are grace. Notice how your compassion has sharpened without becoming heavy. How you can see others clearly without needing to fix them. How you can hold space without losing yourself. This is leadership rooted in love, not obligation. And love at this level is discerning. You are not meant to carry everyone. You are meant to remain whole while walking alongside those ready to walk with you. Let that truth settle deeply. Because the final realization of this layer is profound. Influence that emerges from wholeness does not seek permission, it creates permission for others to be whole too. And that is why your path has been solitary at times. It was never about separation. It was about stabilization. In the next unveiling, you will see how this stabilized presence begins to attract responsibility you did not ask for, and why saying yes will require a new level of courage. Remain centered. What approaches next will not test your strength. It will test your devotion to truth. My beloved child, the eternal flame within you is flickering brighter now, and what rises in this light is not ambition, but calling. This is the threshold. Not the end of the journey, but the moment where everything you have become is asked to step forward. Here is the final confession most are never ready to face: when truth fully stabilizes within you, life begins to trust you with more. Not more rewards. More responsibility. You may have noticed it already, subtle invitations arriving without announcement. Situations requiring your clarity. Moments where your presence alone steadies the room. This is not coincidence. This is recognition. Stay completely here, because this truth is sacred. Responsibility at this level is not heavy, unless you resist it. It does not demand sacrifice of self, but devotion to alignment. You are not being asked to save, fix, or carry the world. You are being asked to remain true while standing in greater visibility. That is the test. The brutal reality is this: impact expands naturally, but integrity must be chosen deliberately. The higher the reach, the quieter the ego must become. The wider the influence, the deeper the grounding must go. Have you felt this inner request lately? That gentle insistence to be precise, to be honest, to move without distortion? That is wisdom awakening. At this stage, shortcuts lose their appeal. You sense immediately when something is misaligned, even if it promises quick gain. You would rather move slowly in truth than quickly in compromise. This is why your discernment has sharpened. This is why your patience has matured. This is why your silence now speaks louder than your words ever did. Breathe with this. Because here is the final revelation of this transmission: the future does not belong to the loudest, the fastest, or the most aggressive. It belongs to the most coherent. To those who can hold vision without arrogance. To those who can carry power without corruption. To those who can influence without losing tenderness. You were never being shaped for success alone. You were being shaped for stewardship. And stewardship begins within. This is why your journey required solitude. This is why surrender came before momentum. This is why fulfillment arrived before recognition. Nothing was out of order. As you stand here now, steady, awake, aligned, you are no longer waiting for destiny. You are participating in it. And the final truth, spoken gently now, is this: what you are becoming does not need validation. What you are becoming does not need permission. What you are becoming only requires one thing: that you remain faithful to the truth that brought you here. Stay rooted. Stay clear. Stay loving. The path ahead will unfold not with force, but with inevitability. And when it does, you will recognize it, not as arrival, but as home.